It's extraordinary.
Another opponent.
Whoa!
What a head kick.
It's
all over. A spectacular finish, just like that. Headshot, bang. Done.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of The Fight Corner. This is episode number 11, taking a look back at UFC 303 International Fight Week from Las Vegas, Nevada. What a great card. Can't wait to get into this one. We'll have a look at the entirety of the main card, prelims and early prelims, go over the bonuses for the night, as well as taking a little look forward to this weekend's fight card, Rose Namajunas taking on Tracy Cortez. So without any further ado, let's get into this week's episode. Kicking this week off on the main card, Alex Poatan Pereira taking on Jiri Prochazka. Hard leg kick and a front kick to the body early from Pereira, and Prochazka looks to land a counter left off a Pereira low kick, and Pereira responds with a hard jab, and they both attack the legs. Pereira landed that left hook on Prochazka and a stiff jab, and Prochazka punches his way in with a straight left and a right hand behind it, and Pereira attacks with a right of his own and another hard leg kick. More attacks to the leg and body of Prochazka, and another Pereira left hook lands, and Prochazka just missing on the return. Prochazka ducks the right hand of Pereira and initiates a clinch, pushing Pereira up against the fence, where Pereira lands two solid knees to the body. Prochazka returns with one of his own, and Pereira follows up with two hard leg kicks and then drops Prochazka with that left hook moving backwards, with Prochazka running right into it. Brutal way to end the round. And it did not get any better in the start of the second. Pereira cracks Prochazka with a ridiculously quick switch kick right off the side of the head at the start of the second. Drops Prochazka to the ground. Pereira could have got the walk off, but Herb Dean stepped off a little bit, and Pereira jumps on him with some heavy hammer fists and a series of lefts and rights, and Herb Dean mercifully stops the fight, and it looks like Pereira actually broke Prochazka's antenna at the end of this, which is pretty funny in my opinion. And I don't know what's going to be happening for Pereira after this. I mean, there's still the talk of him going up to heavyweight and potentially fighting Tom Aspinall, who does have a date with Curtis Blades coming up in the near future in Manchester, so that one's a bit iffy. But I mean, this guy's already on the trajectory for being up there as recognized as one of the greatest of all time in such a short window in the organization. And I mean, this just puts another exclamation mark on what has already been an exceptional career in MMA. Moving on to the co-main event, which is not as straightforward as it should be. So this fight got switched out again at the last minute. During the prelims, Anik announced that Brian Ortega is out with a fever and would not be able to fight. But in steps Dan 50K Ige, and he will be getting a lot more than 50K. I'm going to tell you that. Going to put some zeros on that for sure. But credit to Diego Lopez for still taking Ortega on late notice. On weight at 145, gets told Ortega can't make weight, will need to be moved to 155, weighs in at that, then has to do another weigh-in for 165 at a catch weight of 20 pounds heavier than the original contracted weight. Both these guys are gangsters. And so your new co-main event is Diego Lopez taking on Dan 50K Ige. They get in close, and Lopez throws a flurry of punches and looks for a knee up the middle, with Ige coming back over the top. Ige misses on a left hand and spins to his knees, and Lopez looks to capitalize with some punches and a knee, but Ige fires back with a counter left. Lopez throwing with bad intentions and looking for another knee up the middle. And Lopez is landing on Ige, but Ige's being very smart defensively, and they come together, and Lopez lands again in close. Ige goes for the takedown off a Lopez leg kick. Lopez defends first with the guillotine and then to the darce, but Ige prevents Lopez from getting his hips in play, and Lopez abandons the sub to get back to the feet. In the second, a hard leg kick from Lopez, and Ige landing behind the ear of Lopez on a return shot. Both land hard leg kicks, and Lopez attacks with hooks to the body and the head. Ige landing a clean head cook, but Lopez eats it like it's nothing, catches the foot and brings the fight to the ground right into side control, and Ige goes to turtle and Lopez jumps on his back. Ige tried to shake off Lopez with a roll, but Lopez stayed tight and secured a body triangle, and Ige tries to release the pressure, but Lopez follows and switches the triangle to the other side. Lopez landing short shots and looking for openings to attack the choke, and Ige landing some very hard looking right hands to Lopez off his back, and Lopez looking for the armbar at the end of the round, but nothing really coming close. In the third, Lopez with a nice combination finished with a right hook to the head and a hard step-in jab from Lopez, and Ige answers with a thudding right hand back, and a hard leg kick from Lopez hurts Ige, and he takes a bad step, and Lopez closes in for the takedown, but Ige defends, keeping the fight on the feet. And Ige landing another overhand right when Lopez is against the cage, who returned with another hard calf kick, and Ige with a straight left that snaps Lopez's head back, and Lopez shoots the single, possibly in desperation, but does a great job of transitioning to the double leg and look to get Ige's back against the cage. But Ige shucks Lopez off and looks to land some big ground and pound, but Lopez wraps him up, controlling the posture and not allowing Ige the space to strike. Ige does break free and lands some hard elbows and punches to the body, and Ige landing hard lefts from inside the guard, and he steps back to take a partial upkick from Lopez before the end of the round. And this was a really great fight for both these guys. Ige on super short notice, Lopez on normal short notice, I guess. And it was a unanimous decision victory, 29-28 times 3 for Diego Lopez. But Ige loses no shine in this at all whatsoever. This is nothing but good for him, nothing but good for Lopez, especially in the eyes of the company. And it's going to be really interesting to see who the UFC pairs both these guys up with next. In your feature bout, we had Anthony Smith taking on Roman Dolidze. Good kicks from Dolidze early to the legs and the body of Smith, and Dolidze continues to attack to the lead leg of Smith, who does fire back some of his own strikes, and both still attacking the legs but not really able to find their punching range yet. And starting the second, much like in the first, with a lot of kicks, and Dolidze charges in, throwing punches, off-balances Smith, who drops to the canvas, and Dolidze swarms with punches and hammer fists before looking to take the back of Smith. And Dolidze landing some punches and just really controlling Smith from the top position. Smith did try to make a move to his feet but was stifled by Dolidze, and Dolidze lands a knee to the head of Smith before getting back to his feet. And Smith charges at Dolidze with punches, and Dolidze shoots for a takedown, breaks contact, and lands a hard left hook. And in the third, both attacking the legs, and Dolidze with a pretty good body kick as well. Smith not really finding his distance still with the punches, and Smith does land a glancing right hand and stuffs Dolidze's takedown attempt. And Smith with a right hand, and the pace is really slowed now at the end of the third, with Dolidze landing a nice spinning back kick to the body. And this was pretty uneventful in my books, and it went down as a unanimous decision victory for Roman Dolidze, moving up from middleweight to light heavyweight, taking on number 10 in the world. And it was 30-27 by one judge and 29-28 for the other two, as I said, for Roman Dolidze. Next up in the women's bantamweight division, we had Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Macy Chiasson. Good knee to the body and an elbow from the clinch from Silva in the early part of the round. And a nice kick to the body followed by a head kick and a left hand from Silva, forcing Chasson to clinch, where Silva lands a good elbow before they break, and Silva clips the chin of Chasson with a wheel kick. Chasson looking to land kicks of her own, but when they get in close, Silva lands some hard shots in the clinch with some knees to the body and a head kick. And Chasson tries to get away, but Silva gets a hold of her and lands a knee to the head, and they exchange strikes up against the cage. They briefly break, with both landing before clinching back up again, and Silva landing more knees to the body. But on the break, Chasson lands a kick to the body and then a flurry of punches against the cage. Before they clinch up again and they exchange knees. When they break, Silva lands a series of lefts and rights before looking to get in on a takedown that Chasson defends really well. In the second, both getting after it right away. Chasson securing the takedown and landing a brutal elbow to the right eye of Silva, opening up a nasty cut. And Chasson continues to look for elbows from the top position. But Silva is able to swivel her hips and get under for the armbar, but she abandons it, and Chasson stands back up and attacks the legs of Silva, before Tayoni calls a stop to the fight to bring in the doctor to take a look at that cut. And it is nasty. And it did seem like the doctor was a bit on the fence, not really wanting to be the one to stop it. But in the end, he did say it's too deep. Tayoni calls off the fight, and that is it. It's a TKO victory for Macy Chiasson in round number 2 by doctor stoppage. And yeah, you could see, Silva wanted to keep going, but that cut is deep, and you keep getting hit on that, taking more elbows. Who knows what the long-term damages and effects of that could be. I have no problem with this stoppage. When cuts are like that, just live to fight another day, take the loss, come back another day. But a great performance by Macy Chiasson. Kicking off the main card, it was the middleweight clash between Ian Machado Ghori and Michael Venom Page. Both feeling out in the opening minute, trying to find their range, with Page just missing a front kick up the middle, and Ghori coming up short in a kick of his own. And Ghori catches the head kick of Page and gets the fight to the canvas. And Page almost works his way back up to his feet, but Ghori stays tight and gets to the back of Page, looking to lock in the body triangle, and then getting deep in on a choke. But Page does really well defending and attacking the hands of Ghori and getting free, but still has Ghori on his back with the body triangle, and Ghori landing short shots from the back to the end of the round. In the second, Page hits Ghori with a nice right hand at the start of the round after slipping Ghori's punch, and Page with a nice jab and just missing the follow-up right. Again, Page just short in a big right hand, but a hard leg kick on Ghori, and he's just short on his return as well. Page blitzes in and allows Ghori to get in deep on a body lock, looking for knees against the fence, and Ghori drops down for a leg lock, which I did not expect, and Page defends, landing a few shots on the way back to the feet. Page lands a hard left and a right hand from the southpaw stance, and then looks for a flying knee, lands a stiff jab to the head and to the body, and a hard right hand behind it. In the third, Ghori looks to initiate the clinch, but it's Ghori that ends up on bottom, with Page eating a few elbows from the top position. Page stands up to get the fight back on the feet, and Page whiffs big on a right hand when Ghori changes levels and sweeps the leg to get Page off balance and take his back. Ghori is not really able to threaten with a choke, and Page really doesn't try to escape from the back position. He just kind of stays there and accepts it, and this is how the round ends, and it does go to a judge's decision, which was unanimous in favor of Ian Ghori, 29-28 on all their scorecards, and I think we all expected just a little bit more from this one. And in your feature prelim bout, it was Joe Pyfer taking on Marc-Andre Barriault, and hard leg kicks from Pyfer early, and Pyfer lands a big overhand right, slightly stumbling Barriault, and Pyfer swarms him against the cage to the body and the head, and as Barriault was falling, Pyfer hit him with a right hand that switched Barriault off completely and left him face planting on the canvas in a really brutal knockout. And you can just tell Pyfer does have that crazy KO power. and it was on full display tonight against a guy who is very tough to finish, especially like that early in the fight. And it does look like that Joe Pyfer hype train is back on track, calling at all stations, and it's going to be an interesting one to see who he gets paired up with going forward. Also on the prelims, we had Cub Swanson taking on Andre Fili in the featherweight division. And Swanson with some good leg kicks and a few right hands before Fili lands a nice knee from the tie clinch and a quick left hand. Fili switching stances and lands a head kick before going to the body, and Swanson lands a hard jab. Swanson trying to pressure Fili, and Fili lands the left upstairs and a right hook to the body. And Swanson lands a hard kick of his own to the outside of Fili's leg, and then catches him with a nice right hand. With Swanson landing some good knees to the body from the clinch, and Fili answers with a few of his own. And Swanson lunges in, and Fili kicks out his leg with some really nice timing. In the second, Swanson pushing forward, staying in the face of Fili, who uses Swanson's forward momentum to get a takedown, but Swanson does a great job of regaining guard and getting the fight back to the feet. And they clinch up off a stuffed Fili takedown, and after they break, Swanson lands a hard right hand and a stiff jab behind it, wobbling Fili slightly, who shoots for a takedown that Swanson stuffs, and they clinch up against the cage. Exchanging positions before breaking into the center, and Swanson still pressuring forward, landing to the head of Fili and landing against the cage, but Fili fires back with a nice left hand followed by a right, and Fili looks for a single leg, but they end up clinching against the fence, and Fili looks for the elbow, and Swanson hits a little slide by to get on Fili's back before the end of the round. In the third, Fili coming out with a high kick to start the round and trying to get his jab going, and Swanson lands hard to the body, and Fili returns with a right hand, and Swanson fires back with a head kick. Swanson still pushing forward, and Swanson lands a right hand and a left behind it, but eats a counter from Fili, and Swanson returns with two right hands on Fili against the cage. Fili again uses the forward momentum though of Swanson to secure a takedown, but Swanson works right back to his feet, and in the clinch, both looking for knees to the body, and a nice elbow from Fili and a knee to the face from Swanson. They break to the center, and Swanson lands a good counter shot before trying to pressure Fili, who lands a good right of his own. Some good attacks to the legs from Fili and a big right hand from Swanson. Fili pushes against the fence, landing a knee to the body before they break, and Swanson lands some hard right hands before the end of the fight. This is a really great fight from two veterans, especially from Cub Swanson, 40 years of age, now 41 possibly, I don't even know. But this did go down to a judge's decision, and it was a split decision in the favor of Andre Fili, 29-28 by two of the judges and 29-28 for the other judge for Cub Swanson. Charles Jourdain taking on Jean Silva in the featherweight division. Good kicks from both to start the round, and Silva with some nice shots upstairs, and Jourdain replies the left of his own. Silva pushes Jourdain up against the cage, who springs off for a double leg, getting Silva to the ground, who looks for a guillotine and then uses it to stand back up. Jourdain tries to rush Silva, who greets him with a left and then a right hand, dropping Jourdain, and Silva looked for some ground and pound, but let Jourdain back up, and Silva starts stalking Jourdain, landing a nice uppercut against the cage, and then stuffs the takedown. Jourdain lands some decent shots near the end of the round before looking for a single leg, tree-topping Silva and getting him to the ground before the end of the round. In the second, Silva really pressuring Jourdain at the start, and Jourdain was able to get in deep on a takedown, but Silva defended really well, and they stay on the feet against the cage. And Silva landing some hard elbows to the body while defending the takedown attempt. And when Jourdain released, Silva landed a nasty uppercut, dropping Jourdain, and Mark Goddard steps in and saves Jourdain from taking any follow-up shots. Some people might have said this was a bit of an early stoppage. I mean, I don't know, it's tough. I mean, yeah, maybe you could have let the guy take a few more shots, but I mean, I think he's pretty much done at that point. smacking his head off the canvas, and his eyes weren't really quite there. A slight protest from Jourdain, but I think he knows this was a good stoppage. And this goes down for another win for the Fighting Nerds. John Silva, KO, round 2. Definitely going to be one to watch in the featherweight division as long as he can continue to make the weight. And kicking off the prelim card, it was Ghori taking on Peyton Talbott in the bantamweight division. Talbott landing a solid leg kick early in the round before dropping Ghori with a solid 1-2, and Talbott jumps on him with a flurry of left hands that puts Ghori out cold, and this is a KO victory for the rising star Peyton Talbott at 19 seconds of the first round. And there was already a lot of hype behind this young man. There's going to be even more now. And I got to admit, he does look like he has everything that you could want from an up-and-coming prospect. And it will be interesting to see how the UFC will take him going forward. Whether they want to try to build him up or if they want to throw him in at the deep end in his next couple of fights. But I'm here for it, and I can't wait to see what happens. Moving to the early prelims, we had Jillian Robertson taking on Michelle Waterson-Gomez. Robertson landing some nice jabs and a head kick in the opening minute. Robertson gets in on a takedown with double underhooks. She gets to the side and dumps Waterson to her back, with Robertson looking for a possible armbar before moving to mount and landing elbows. Waterson regained her half guard, only to be put in a crucifix by Robertson, who starts looking for elbows again. Waterson is able to free herself, but only to bottom side, with Robertson again moving into mount and landing more punches and elbows to the face, causing Waterson to look to give her back, but Robertson stays heavy on top and transitions to an armbar setup, but doesn't quite have the right leg position, and ends the round with Waterson defending the submission. Robertson runs to take the center of the cage for the start of the second and is hit with a front kick to the face from Waterson. That Robertson catches, pushes Robertson back to the fence, and gets an easy takedown in the open, moving right into side control. And Robertson moves easily into mount and starts landing some more elbows. And Waterson again is able to recover half guard, but it's only a matter of time before Robertson went back to the mount and landing more elbows. And Robertson is again doing a good job to regain half guard, but Robertson again moves into mount, and it's a high mount this time, looking to set up an armbar, but Waterson throws up the Hail Mary and gets back to bottom side. Robertson again moves into mount, landing hard shots and setting up another armbar that Waterson is able to defend. In the third, it's Waterson now looking to get the takedown at the beginning of the round, but Robertson counters with a guillotine and uses this to stand up and take control of the grappling and get Waterson to the ground in side control. Again, looking for more elbows and punches before moving into the mount and continuing with the elbow assault. And Waterson went for the Hail Mary again, but was unsuccessful, and when Waterson went to roll Robertson, she actually gave up her back. And Waterson was able to regain full guard, and you can start seeing some serious swelling on the face of Waterson. And Robertson does eventually move back into side control and then into mount, landing more ground and pound before the bell. And this was an easy, unanimous decision victory for Jillian Robertson. 30-27 on two of the judges' scorecards and 30-26 by the other judge. And Michelle Waterson, the karate hottie, actually announced her retirement after this fight, and the organization had a really nice package lined up highlighting her career, and Waterson was pretty emotional, and so was Joe Rogan. And yeah, one of the pioneers of women's MMA has called an end to her career, and nothing but the best to her and her family going forward. In the heavyweight division, we had Andre Arlovski taking on Martin Buday. Both landing kicks to start the fight, and they clinch up against the cage. They break to the middle before getting back to a clinch up against the cage, with Buday landing some shots to the body from the clinch, and Arlovski landing a nice knee to the body in return. They break and both start to open up a bit on the feet before getting into another clinch before the end of the round. In the second, they clinch again, and Buday lands a good knee to the body, They break and both land in the open before clinching in the middle and exchanging knees to the body. Up against the fence, Buday again landing some good knees to the body, and Buday lands a few shots on the feet and a nice uppercut before clinching up again. And Mark Smith breaks them up, and Arlovski tries to punch his way on the inside and lands a good leg kick and a shot to the body before Buday replies with a knee to the body and some short lefts inside the clinch. And Arlovski landing some knees to the body from that clinch position as well at the end of the round. In the third, Arlovski is much more active to start the round, throwing kicks and looking for shots upstairs, and from the clinch they both land good shots to the body and the head, and Buday continues to land to the body from the clinch, and Arlovski goes to the tie clinch and lands a good knee to the body himself. After a brief stop for a low blow on Arlovski, he starts attacking with leg kicks before Buday closes in with an uppercut and reinitiates the clinch battle. And Mark Smith breaks them up again for inactivity, and after a short exchange on the feet, they get back to the clinch, exchanging knees to the body, and off the break Arlovski goes for the spinning back fist, and again they clinch up against the cage, and they break with 10 seconds left with nothing of significance before the bell. And this one went to a split decision by the judges, 29-28 by two of them for Buday and 29-28 for Arlovski. And this was another end of an era, if you will. This was Andrei Arlovski's last fight on his contract, and the UFC, or Dana White, said in the post-fight press conference that they would not be renewing this and not re-signing him. So Andrei Arlovski will no longer be in the UFC. He's had a fantastic career, achieved a lot, especially the longevity, I think, is one of the things he'll be remembered for most, outside of obviously winning the heavyweight championship. He did say he wasn't done fighting, so it will be interesting to see where he ends up, potentially maybe PFL/Bellator, or maybe ONE, or maybe bare knuckle boxing, who knows. But yeah, great career, and losing another one of the pioneers. And in the men's bantamweight division, we had Carlos Hernandez taking on Ray Cerqueira, both feeling each other out in the opening minute, with Cerqueira landing a real nice level change right to the double and sits Hernandez down. But Hernandez does a great job of freeing the bottom leg, pushing on the head, and getting the fight back to the feet before scrambling to the back himself and slamming Cerqueira to the canvas right off his head. But Cerqueira immediately looks for a Kimura and then a knee bar, and briefly looked for a heel hook before they stand up, really chaining those submission attempts together nicely. Both still not able to find their range with the strikes, but Cerqueira is in on a single leg, but Hernandez defends well and keeps the fight on the feet against the cage. But Cerqueira hits a beautiful lateral drop right into side control, but Hernandez again does a great job of getting to deep half and looking to take the back of Cerqueira, but it's Cerqueira getting to the back of Hernandez looking for a possible twister, but Hernandez defends well to end the round. In the second, Cerqueira shoots for an early double leg, which Hernandez again defends really well by getting an underhook. Cerqueira transitions to the fireman's carry and then completes the double leg in a really nice sequence, but Cerqueira ends up in a little bit of an awkward position with his head and arm trapped by Hernandez, but Cerqueira gets free and starts looking to lock in a possible crucifix. Cerqueira lands some hard elbows and Hernandez scrambles out but ends up in the turtle position, and Cerqueira looks to take the back, but Hernandez defends and Cerqueira starts looking for the twister again and comes pretty close, but Hernandez frees his leg and Cerqueira takes side control. Some real nice grappling in this fight so far, real nice. And Cerqueira ends the round on top, landing elbows. In the third, it looked like a little bit of a fake glove touch from Cerqueira, and he shoots for a double leg that gets stuffed by Hernandez, and Cerqueira goes for another throw, but can't get Hernandez over, and Cerqueira is the one ending up on bottom. Hernandez on top though, not able to land anything of any significance or advance his position, and Cerqueira is able to dig the underhook and get to a single leg, working back to his feet. With Cerqueira pushing Hernandez up against the cage, And from there, they battle in a clinch position until Cerqueira initiates a takedown, but Hernandez almost gets Cerqueira's back. Very close, but not quite, and Cerqueira does work back to his feet, and again, they work from the clinch against the cage. And a few good shots from Hernandez with a nice knee to the body before the end of the round. And this was a unanimous decision victory, 29-28 by all three judges for the newcomer, Ray Cerqueira. And your first fight of the night, Ricky Simón taking on Vinicius Oliveira in the men's bantamweight division. Nice front kick to the body from Oliveira in the opening round, followed by a hard leg kick. And both still looking to find their range, but Oliveira lands a right hand and again follows it up with a nice leg kick. Simón is able to get inside after a left hand and dump Oliveira with a single leg, but Oliveira jumps right back to his feet and lands a straight right. But Simón answers back with a left hook, and Oliveira continues to attack the legs of Simón. Simón lands a nice power jab, and Oliveira replies with a combination, but Simón did a good job of shelling up and avoiding any real damage, and Simón lands a body shot right on the belt line before shooting a really bad takedown that is easily stuffed by Oliveira. More leg kicks from Oliveira, and they exchange punches, with Simón landing a nice right hand. Oliveira again landing to the lead leg. Oliveira stuffs his takedown with ease and continues to attack the lead leg of Simón. And Oliveira with a nice combination to the head and body and ends attacking the lead leg of Simón. Back to the feet. Simón slips a right hand from Oliveira and gets in on another double leg and dumps Oliveira to the mat, looking to get to the back and landing a good knee and elbow to the head of Oliveira before they break. Some good shots to the body from Simón, and Oliveira answers back with more leg kicks, and Simón counters Oliveira's leg kick with a nice right hand down the middle. They exchange jabs and Oliveira attacks the body. Oliveira continues to attack the lead leg of Simón, and Oliveira lands a nice combination, but Simón appeared to check that leg kick from Oliveira, which caused him to take a bad step and nearly fall, and it will be interesting to see what happens the next time he throws that. But Oliveira stayed on the attack, pushing Simón against the cage with combinations of punches. And Simón just missed with a head kick, and Oliveira stuffs another takedown. Oliveira looks to attack the lead leg again, and Simón catches it, and Oliveira is definitely hurt off that one. And taking a really bad step backwards, you can see his mobility is compromised, and Simón tries to swarm Oliveira, but he's not able to get the finish. A little bit of afters at the end of the round with Simón screaming in Oliveira's face, who then shoves him away, setting up a very entertaining third round. Both came out swinging to start that third, and Oliveira looking to attack the body with front kicks, and Simón landing a nice left hand when charging in on Oliveira. And Simón looking to attack the legs of Oliveira himself, and Simón gets in real deep on a double, driving Oliveira back, but it's straight back against the cage, didn't cut the corner, and Oliveira is able to get his underhooks and keep the fight on the feet. Oliveira still moving really well despite the injury to his leg in the second, avoiding Simón's shots and making him miss, landing shots of his own. And near the end of the round, it's Oliveira changing levels and getting a real nice takedown of his own. And Simón is able to get back to his feet, where Oliveira tries to put an exclamation point on the round and the fight, landing a nice uppercut and a head kick that was potentially borderline after the bell, but very, very, very close. And this one goes to a unanimous decision victory for Vinicius Oliveira, 30-27 times 2 and 29-28 by the other judge. And your fight night bonuses. Performance of the night honors went to Alex Pereira, Macy Chiasson, Joe Pyfer, and Peyton Talbott, all for their ridiculously brutal finishes. And your fight of the night honors went to Fili and Cub Swanson. Taking a look ahead to next weekend's fight card. From the Apex, we got Rose Namajunas taking on Tracy Cortez, who's filling in for the absent Macy Barber. We also got a few other names to look out for on this card: Santiago Ponzinibbio, Drew Dober, Gabriel Bonfim, Christian Rodriguez, and the always entertaining, in my books, Jasmine Jazdavicius, all on this card. I don't have the highest expectations for this card. I'm not expecting too much out of it, but I'm still going to watch and hope for the best, and who knows, could be card of the year, but I doubt it. And that's it. That does it for another episode of The Fight Corner, episode number 11. Done and dusted. Thank you all again for tuning in. Support means everything, and I really hope to do a lot with this channel in the future. So thank you all for starting with me from the beginning. And again, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It all goes a long way. And until the next time, peace.